it.
I'm happy to do it. I think I saw you a couple weeks ago in Tunkhannock. If
Yeah, yes, yes. So long time
good.
no talk. I know we have a lot to get to. I'll try to keep you on schedule.
Please, yeah, let's
So
do
I
it.
just wanted to start out. Obviously, a big topic of discussion over this past year has been that budget stalemate that we saw in 2025. How are we looking to keep things more on track and come to more of an agreement within a better time frame this year?
Look, I spoke about this yesterday in my budget address. Two things are true. One, it took too long, and I know it had an impact on the people of Pennsylvania. And two, all parties, Democrats and Republicans, walked away feeling as though we accomplished a great deal. I also made clear that we need to get started way sooner this time. And I called all the leaders to my office today. We met just a few hours ago. We had a productive meeting and set a schedule going forward. And I'm confident that we all want to work to get it on time. Look, this is a divided government, a Senate led by Republicans, a House led by Democrats. It's hard to find compromise, but we've proven it now 3 years in a row that we can come together and get big things done. Again, I know it took too long, and the legislature basically took the whole summer off, which was not okay. But we got a lot done for the people of Pennsylvania on education, safety, economic development, and a whole lot more. We should celebrate that. We should learn from the experience, and we need to work more efficiently this time. And I know everybody is committed to that.
Perfect. Affordability really hitting northeastern and central Pennsylvanians. Just everything is getting more expensive. How are we looking to kind of rein some of that in, make things more affordable? I know you discussed raising the minimum wage for yet another year. Where do we stand with all of that?
Sure. Look, the reason why things are more expensive is because of the tariffs, which are driving up prices on consumers, on farmers, and others. The reason why everybody's healthcare costs have just about doubled is because the Congress of the United States failed to extend those subsidies. Here in Pennsylvania, we've cut taxes 7 times. In fact, I'm calling for more tax cuts in our Commonwealth in this budget. 940,000 Pennsylvanians are about to get up to $800 back. Working Pennsylvanians, as part of a new tax credit we put in place. We cut taxes for childcare and seniors. So we've got a strong track record of putting money back in people's pockets. I do want to put more money back in people's pockets by finally raising the minimum wage in Pennsylvania. Our minimum wage has been stuck at $7.25 an hour for 16 years. I want to raise it to $15 an hour. The House of Representatives and the Democrats have passed it multiple times. Hopefully, the Republican led Senate will pass it this time. That's a great way to get money back in people's pockets and help them deal with the rising costs from these tariffs and other things.
Perfect. On the topic of affordability, those utility bills are getting more expensive.
Mhm.
We've seen, extreme percentage hikes over the past year or two on some of those electric companies, some of those utility companies. How are we looking to kind of rein them in, put more restrictions on them? And do you
Yeah.
feel like you're confident in being able to do that?
I know it's something that has broad bipartisan support. I can tell you I've taken a number of concrete steps so far, and I need the legislature to follow and act as well. First, we get our power from an entity that oversees power distribution in 13 states known as PJM. And PJM sets the basic rate that dictates what you pay on your electric bill when you get it each month. I sued PJM because they were about to jack up people's costs, and we were able to save about $20 billion. Now, that's hard for the average consumer to see because what they basically got was instead of it going up this much, it maybe went up that much. And I understand that's hard for folks to see, but we stopped major price increases. I then worked with the White House and with Republican and Democratic governors alike to agree to come together on more power generation, which is going to reduce costs, simple supply and demand issue, and an extension of the 2 year price cap that I won when we litigated the issue. So I think if those two things come about, that's going to help at least create some stability. Then what we've got to do is begin to bring down those costs. Here's a few ways that I propose we do that. Number one, stop with the junk fees that people pay on their bill. And I called the utility companies into my office and they agreed to that. They also agreed to allow their bills to be further scrutinized by the PUC and by a new council that I've position that I've created in state government that will hold the line on those rate increases that the utilities want. So I think what we've done so far has helped. What we're about to do with this agreement with the White House and the other governors will help a lot. And if the legislature passes some new laws, that'll be even further help. I know how challenging these bills are. I get them every month as well. And what we've got to do is bring those bills down, and we're working really diligently to do that.
With those utility companies in mind, data centers, of course, a big impact on some of those utility bills. We have, I think, here in northeastern and central Pennsylvania, 12 projects either proposed or underway. How are you feeling about data centers? Where are you on as
Yeah.
far as regulations and hitting some of the transparency with these data center projects and what exactly is proposed?
I spoke at length about data centers yesterday in my budget address. First, let's begin understanding that we're in this battle right now with China for AI supremacy. I think everyone can agree we want the United States to win that battle, not communist China. And then if you accept that, the question is, okay, if we're going to build out the infrastructure to dominate on AI, where should it be? Well, Pennsylvania is uniquely positioned because we generate so much energy here to house these data centers. But I must tell you, I am worried about the manner in which some of these data center developers are going about their business. And so yesterday, I basically put up a stop sign and said, if you want to do business here in Pennsylvania, you got to adhere to some very specific standards. So number one, you've got to generate your own power and pay for your own power, because then you're not burdening homeowners and businesses and others with increased costs to deal with these data centers. Number two, you've got to have transparency with the community. I know there's folks in northeastern Pennsylvania who know there's some big development going on, but you really don't know what it is until the last possible moment. These developers need to be very open about what they're developing, what the purpose is, where their energy is coming from, what they're paying. And so we're going to have now total transparency on these projects. Third, the community where these projects are need to hire local, and they need to have community benefits agreements in order to support the local community where these data centers stand. And then fourth and finally, they have to adhere to very strict environmental standards, particularly when it comes to the use of water, making sure that it doesn't create pollution and it doesn't use an excessive amount of water that undermines the quality in a community. I think with all of those things, then these developers have the ability to unlock tax credits from the Commonwealth and speed on permitting from the Commonwealth. And that is, the plan that I put forth yesterday, known as GRID.
Wonderful. We have county governments here, kind of wanting to push forward. They're in the process even today, drafting a letter that hopefully they are hoping will get to you, kind of calling for a statewide moratorium on data centers until we could get some of these regulations in place. Do you think that's a possibility? Is that anything that you've considered at this point?
Well, look, we've already implemented these changes in my administration. They've been endorsed by a number of the data center companies and a number of local communities. Hopefully, lawmakers will step up on some of the things that require changes to our laws. I think what we need to do is win the battle of AI supremacy against China, but we've got to do it in a way that it doesn't harm homeowners, it doesn't harm businesses or consumers, it doesn't drive up the cost of power or electricity, and I believe we can accomplish that by following my grid proposal.
When you talk about winning the race here, medical or recreational marijuana comes to mind. A lot of
Mhm.
our neighboring states have already passed recreational marijuana. You're
Yeah,
calling
all
on,
but one.
yeah, we're calling on this again for another year. Do you think at this point it could make the finish line this year? How are you?
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, the House has already passed it. The Senate has refused to act. There is growing bipartisan consensus, and I would argue this is a matter of competition. You've got folks in northeastern Pennsylvania who are going to New York and New Jersey to legally purchase cannabis and paying taxes to those states. I want that revenue coming to our state for our roads and our bridges and our schools and parks and trails and a whole lot more. And look, This is a tough issue. It was a tough issue for me to, to work through as a father of four, as the former chief law enforcement officer of our Commonwealth, but I've worked through it. I understand it. I believe it is something that can give us a competitive advantage in Pennsylvania. And I think it's time. And, obviously consensus is growing. We're going to continue to push to see if we can find common ground on this.
Wonderful. Moving to schools now, cell phone ban. The Senate bill just passed, I believe, today,
Yes.
correct? How are you feeling as it moves to the House of Representatives, and where does it go if it
Yeah.
comes to your desk?
Yesterday, or a few days ago, I called for a ban on using cell phones in school, known as like a bell to bell ban. And I called on lawmakers yesterday to get that legislation to my desk. I was very pleased that the Senate acted this morning, or yesterday, pardon me, to get that to my desk. It goes to the House now for their review. They'll do what they're going to do with it, make whatever modifications, and hopefully the House and Senate can come to agreement on this. This is an issue. I'm speaking not just as a governor, but as a father of four. I want these distractions out of the hands of my kids while they are in school. It is really important that they focus on learning, focus on their friends, focus on their teachers and coaches and others. And I think this is a smart, common sense reform that enjoys broad bipartisan support. And so I think it's now just a matter of time before it reaches my desk.
Perfect. I think that is all the time that we have, and I appreciate your time. And, I look forward to kind of touching on some of these topics as we move forward in the year here. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Melissa. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.